For when you tune your state of being to these higher vibrational versions of Earth, you then channel in the actual frequencies of that Earth through you, filtered through you. And as you then do that, it's as if you then are having a greater collective say in the common reality, because your voice is actually louder. There's more power behind it because you are drawing from true power. You are drawing from unconditional love. You are channeling unconditional love. And that is what real power is. Therefore, when you allow for yourself to be this, the channel of love, you then begin, as we have said in the beginning, to create ripple effects that will permeate into your local bubble, your personal bubble, and that will then ripple in larger ways as the frequency is sustained, as it is grown, as it is cultivated, which again is done through your choice to simply be yourself in every moment. That's all you have to do to maintain the idea of the high frequency version of Earth. And when we say maintain the idea, we simply mean the idea of allowing your frequency to remain in resonance with that higher vibrational Earth. All you must do is act that out, which we remind you is natural to you, because on such a version of Earth that is higher in frequency, you are naturally expressing yourself fully on that Earth, because that is what a utopian Earth is to all of you. It is in that way a version of Earth where you are able to express yourself fully, where you have always expressed yourself fully, where your whole civilization has expressed itself fully, authentically, in a way that is expressive and embodied. So when you channel that energy of higher frequency Earths through you, you are automatically aligning with a version of yourself that contains zero resistance. You're channeling a version of yourself that has zero resistance to life. Therefore, you become the fountain of youth, because life then is able to abundantly, effortlessly flow through you. And your reality becomes life-giving. What you put your attention upon grows. That is what channeling unconditional love is. That is what creating heaven on earth, mechanically speaking, is. That's how you do it. We remind you again, the state of being is the key. Your belief systems, your stories about reality, and the actions that you take that represent those beliefs in motion. Now, many of you may say, but aren't beliefs just concepts? Do I not exist in higher realities that transcend the very notion of belief? Why use a belief system when I could just channel the greater self? Well, understand you're always channeling the greater self that exists in spirit, where words are not words as you experience them in physical reality, where sound and light are not the same frequencies of sound and light you experience in physical reality, where belief systems are not required because that's not how reality is created on those levels. Understand that you are always channeling that self, but because you are in that way human, because you have a consciousness that is archetypal in nature, based in story, and you have a neurology that is designed to contain and hold the energy of stories and cross-references them with patterns you experience in your reality so you can make sense, logical sense of your reality. Understand, because you are also human and also contain all of this, it is a blending, it is a balance. It is in that way the refinement of the mentality, which is simply choosing the positive beliefs and letting the limiting negative beliefs go. It is the idea of choosing to express from your heart, choosing to express from love, choosing to be loving towards yourself, that allows for you to ground and refine the emotional aspect of yourself. And it is in that way the idea of taking self-care actions that are based in love, based in respect, based in joy, that nourish you in that way on the physical level, thus allowing for that infinite greater self to authentically express its true nature through each of the levels of your being: thought, emotion, physicality. And that is what it is in many ways to be the idea of a channel of love in all dimensions of life. Understand that when we talk about the idea of nourishing the physical body, that is different for each person. We in no way encourage anyone to become dogmatic with how they treat their body, thinking they must treat it in a certain way to maintain a certain level of consciousness. Understand, you maintain your consciousness, your frequency, through your state of being. And even if you, in that sense, take an action that may not fully reflect that true nature, it's not as if you have sabotaged your consciousness. You have temporarily lowered the frequency so you can have that experience, but that's still a part of that higher state of being. That is still a part of the higher vibrational frequency of Earth, should you use that action positively. So no matter what choice you find yourself making in life, understand it is automatically sacred, it is automatically valid, and it is automatically of service to you in your progression of self, in your evolution of self, and in your gradual unraveling of the experience you call heaven on earth. Validate every step, every experience that you take as somehow an essential step in that blossoming. And you will then be in a point of view where you can derive a positive meaning and effect from that experience. And it will then be, in that way, vibrationally resonant with the frequency of heaven on earth. Now, let's talk about DNA. Understand that your DNA has a frequency. It is energy, as everything in your physical reality, that is simply highly condensed and physicalized. But we remind you, everything in your physical reality, ironically, is non-physical energy expressing itself through a physicality filter. You are in that way creating all of this out of non-physical consciousness. That is in many ways the paradox of your physical reality. Now, the DNA is an energy, as are all things in the reality, and all energy in that way vibrates at a particular frequency. We remind you the frequency is the state of being, the state of consciousness of whatever you are observing. So understand, if you're observing yourself, your frequency is your overall state of being. When you're observing DNA, the frequency of the DNA is the DNA's state of being. When you begin in that sense to conceptualize DNA, imagine DNA, you can begin to scan into the energetic backdrop behind the visualization. You will find that when you conceptualize DNA, behind the visual is an energy. It's a frequency. It's a phone number. It's a speed dial button for your telepathic connection to your DNA. So as you begin to conceptualize DNA, you are automatically connecting with your own DNA, but not just your DNA, all DNA. Because you are a microcosm. You are a fractal. You contain the infinite. You are a hologram. Therefore, when you focus on one aspect of yourself, you are also focusing on that aspect in all things. That is why you have the idea that your thoughts, what you focus upon, creates reality. Because when you focus upon a certain quality in yourself, you're focusing upon that same quality in everyone else. So understand, when you conceptualize and focus upon your DNA, you're connecting to all DNA. You can begin to then invoke the energies within you. the DNA within you. You can begin to communicate, send an invitation. You could even call it like a friend request to your DNA, if you wish to call it that. Speak out loud to the DNA as you feel its underlying vibration. You are able to say whatever it is that is inspiring to you. You can speak in another language to the DNA, in a language that represents maybe higher frequencies, higher vibrations. You can, in that sense, send prayers to your DNA. You can send gratitude to your DNA. But the idea is to invoke the DNA in some way that is playful and represents getting to know oneself, as if you were greeting a friend that you knew you were deeply connected to, but were meeting for the first time. That sort of mentality of saying, I know you, I see you, I feel you, yet I am going to discover you, and I will also simultaneously create my experience of you. For it is in that way always a simultaneous experience of discovery and creation. Now, understand, as you invoke the DNA, the idea is to begin to imagine the DNA glows. It lights up. As you speak to the DNA, imagine that frequency you feel within you, the state of being of the DNA. Begin to imagine it increases. It becomes more powerful. It becomes responsive to your words. Begin to, in that sense, say certain words to the DNA, such as love. And as you say the word love, begin to create within yourself the experience of the DNA glowing more brightly and illuminating. Saying something like joy, imagine the DNA growing brightly. Saying something like bliss, seeing the DNA growing brightly. You can even incorporate your breath into the glowing, inhaling as it becomes brighter. And then as the word fades, allow for the DNA will get so big that even when you're not speaking the words, it will still be glowing within you. Begin to imagine in that way that the DNA, in terms of where you're feeling it in your body, where you're experiencing this DNA frequency, imagine the DNA is running from the crown to the perineum, as if there is a double helix rotating, spiraling downward from your crown to your pelvic floor, your perineum. And as you feel and conceptualize the DNA, connect it to this area of your body. And as you say the magic words to the DNA, see the DNA here in your body in this central channel glowing, getting brighter. And at a certain point, the DNA you're experiencing will be automatically glowing, automatically vibrant. The words in that sense will have fully activated its luminescence. As it becomes automatic in its glow, you can then breathe that DNA light to any area of the body that you feel could use a DNA upgrade. You can bring it to the senses. You can bring it to the brain. You can bring it to the bones. You can bring it to your nervous system. You can bring it to your heart. You can bring it to your arteries. Understand, you can shine this DNA light everywhere. You can also, in that way, breathe the DNA light in a sense where with every breath, that central luminescent channel, its glow gets brighter until it occupies in its auric glow the sides of the body. Inhaling it even more, growing the DNA light into the first layer of the aura. Growing it even more with your breath, the second layer. You can breathe the DNA light into all levels of the aura. And you can, in that sense, also breathe the DNA light into the physical organs that represent your chakra. The pituitary gland, the pineal gland. And you can, in that sense, wash yourself with this photonic light emanation that comes from your DNA that represents awakened genetics. And as you repeat this exercise, you will find it will get more intense, more powerful. And as you go into a state of allowance, of non-expectation, of mystery, of play, your DNA will then rapidly co-create with your higher self, with your guides, with your archetypes, versions of reality that represent your highest self expressed. When you do this meditation, we remind you, it's no substitute for expressing yourself in every moment, for being your truest self. But when you combine this exercise with the expression of that which you actually are, it allows for that which you actually are to express, ripple, crystallize all types of high frequency synchronicities, positive experiences, and adventure. Because we remind you, the DNA is you. And as you amplify the DNA, you amplify your natural self. And as we have said, what you put your attention upon will grow like sunlight on a plant. It will grow the plant. So when you put your attention on your DNA and the frequencies of love and joy, you're putting your attention on your natural self. We remind you, the meditation is just step one. The expression of that energy through actions, through lifestyle, through the ways you treat yourself and others. This is what allows for that energy to fully entangle, fully mingle with your physical reality hologram that you call your life. We thank you for your attention in the transmission. And we will now open ourselves up for your questions and dialogues. Let's proceed in whatever way, shape, or form you feel inspired.
All right, so the first question we have is from Kelch. Who's Kelch's iPhone? Kelch's iPhone. Go ahead, Kelch's iPhone.
That's me, Karen. Sorry, I couldn't get in on my iPad.
That's no problem.
I finally got in though,
Funny.
40 minutes later.
Yay.
Hi, Ryok. It was so nice to hear you speaking earlier about all of that. My question is about this meditation you're talking about with the DNA. How often do we have to do something like that? Like, is this a daily activity?
Understand, if you are inspired to use it daily, then it will work in a very amplified way with you, should you engage it daily. But if you are inspired in that way to use it once a week, then you will find that that will be the way that best serves you, because it's your own passion, your own inspiration. That is the indicator of what is most relevant for your natural self in the moment.
Okay. How often does Tyler do it?
Understand, this is a new meditation that he has not been cognizant of until this transmission.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much for all the information.
And thank you so much for your gift and your expression.
Bye.
There's a question from Alan. Go ahead, Alan.
All right, hi there.
Hello, good day.
It actually is, yeah, it is. So if I were to sum up all of what your species sort of general message is to us, that we create our reality based on what we believe to be true. Is that a fair statement?
Understand, that's the foundational level, and it's in that way the basement floor of the house. But it is your actions that you then take that represent the full structure of the house. In other words, the fully manifested, expressed version of that reality. But the belief system is the origin point. Without the belief, you don't have the feeling, you don't have the thoughts, and then you don't have the action. So it begins with the belief level.
Okay, so I can't resist talking about the virus. So if I am another person and the person says, oh, if you go outside and you don't wear a mask, you're going to get the virus, and the person they're saying it to is like, no, I actually don't think I am. So are both of them right in their own realities?
Yes, as we have said, both individuals are channeling their own unique frequency versions of Earth. Each version of Earth has its own physical reality dynamics. Even your laws of physics will vary slightly, or greatly, depending on the different Earths you are comparing. You understand what we're saying here? They're literal different realities. You create.
Yeah, I understand it as a concept, but am I fully comprehending it as a potential experience? That's going to take some time.
That's all right. That's all right. Whatever process you require is beautiful and perfect. Understand that you can observe the truth of others without invalidating what's true for you. You can observe what they believe in to be true, and you can say that's a beautiful, sacred expression of life. It's almost like you're observing another movie, and you say that's a fantastic movie. It's so well scripted. It's so seamless. It's so well directed that it seems real, just like my movie. And you can begin to actually appreciate the fact that both of your realities function perfectly, and that they're both valid, they're both beautiful expressions of source, and that both realities allow or disallow certain things. And what is allowed will be, of course, the content of life that is vibrationally similar or relevant to whatever your frequency is. But yes, in that sense, should you believe in a reality where you are, in that sense, likely to get sick, where it's easy to get sick, where everyone is sick, understand that that creates a certain effect within your body. That creates a certain effect within your social dynamics, within your collective consciousness. So understand their reality, if that's the reality, belief system, foundation they're using, will in that sense have ripples that are based in that. But we remind you, that's their movie. You do not have to go into that type of belief system dynamic, for you can believe whatever you're inspired to believe, whatever you choose to believe. For that is what everyone offers you, just examples of points of view that you can choose for you if you wish, or you can use them as inspiration to more powerfully and more enthusiastically create your own point of view of preference. Does that make some sense for you?
Yeah, so in other words, if we're all God having this dream, God can never be wrong, so therefore our experience can never be wrong. There can never be holes in the script, so to speak.
Of course, yes, because where is there a mistake? The whole thing functions flawlessly.
If you believe there's a mistake, then there's a mistake. That's not a mistake.
Precisely. You can create the experience of the mistake, but paradoxically, the creation of the experience of a mistake is a perfect creation.
Yeah. Okay. And then this is the last one for me. This is a bit of a personal one. It's about this one. It was the most vivid dream I had. It was between the nights of April 7th and 8th, and I'm asking this because your perspective might be valuable for this. I remember in the dream there are 4 alien beings, or what I perceive to be beings. One of them more non-human looking than the other, and that was so incredibly vivid. I cannot even explain. I woke up the next morning. I was like, wait, that didn't happen in this dimension. That didn't happen. It took me a second to get that. So I'm just curious, this kind of personal, about the significance of that. It seems pretty significant, but I don't know what about it was significant.
Yes, it represents, one moment. It represents the idea of a calibration of your energies in a certain way that creates a level of refinement within the aspect of your psychology you call the inner child. Understand, this is a relevant aspect of everyone's consciousness that exists in the human form, as well as in many ways all beings that go through developmental periods that include childhood. This energy is present there in certain ways across different expressions of life. So this inner child energy is something that has been avidly, eternally expressing itself through you. Even as a soul, you are in that way a child of creation. The soul also expresses its own inner child type of energy, its own inner child dynamic. And the dream experience, which is really an astral experience, the idea of a high astral experience, represents multiple extraterrestrial beings that you have been. Some of them ancient, some of them in your linear experience not even yet created, coming together in a shared dream space where they are able to access the deepest levels of your own neurology and the underlying energetics that relate to neural pathway organization. And they are, in that sense, together with your higher self, creating almost like songs. If you had to conceptualize the energy, it's almost like a song. But think of the sound waves of this song almost being like an energetic liquid that move. A moving, musical, light-based liquid. And the idea is that this energy is beamed in through the crown chakra and is essentially then spiraled down the body. It begins to wrap the body in a cocoon type of organization. And this field then creates a level of relaxation in your system where your energies can then go more deeply within. And as they go more deeply within, they are able to then access the levels of your being you consider to be the deeper levels. In other words, the archetypes, where the inner child energy is then able to be calibrated, updated, refined, and reorganized in terms of its role within your subconscious. For you oftentimes will channel certain archetypal energies that you believe are useful for you in the moment. Some archetypal energies are actually very useful for you, but many of you will judge expressing it and it goes into the back burner. So the idea is for you, the inner child energy has been reorganized in terms of its positioning to be more at the forefront of your consciousness, so you have greater access to it. You're familiar with the concept of baptism, which is in the Christian tradition, the idea of a child being reborn in the light of God through the waters of transformation. You're familiar with this concept?
Yeah, I thought it was Catholic, not Christian, but yeah, beside the point, yeah.
Understand that this in many ways represents a sort of inner version of that for you in terms of how you are experiencing your energies.
So I could say it was a spiritual, personal, internal baptism, sort of.
Precisely, yes. And as you begin to recognize that you are a new being, you can start to, as we have said before, simultaneously discover and create who this new self is.
Yeah, wow, thank you for that perspective. I see how that fits. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a question from, who is the next person? From Kat. Go ahead, Kat.
Yes, hello.
Hello, good day.
I'm Kat. Good day. What was my question? I managed to talk with my DNA, but my question is, what's the, if you can see it, what's the percentage of passing my message to my DNA?
The percentage of the passing of your message. Are you asking how much of your intention is your DNA currently receiving? Or how
Yeah.
your DNA to fully awakening? Can you clarify a little more for us?
Yeah. How much what's the percentage of me managing to talk with my DNA?
All right, we are right now detecting you are at approximately 65% efficiency. It
Okay,
will
good.
higher, understanding that set and setting of the activity also plays a role. Should you do this activity in nature or in a relaxing space or with certain crystals or certain sounds playing, whatever is appealing and exciting to you, that creates a set and setting for you to go deeper, so the communication level then goes deeper. Make sense?
in my talking with my DNA, I observed that because there's a certain way that I do it, and I see that I have my conscious. There's some sort of conscious that it's new to me that appears, and is like fluctuating. But I pay attention to keep this focus, specific focus, active.
Yes. And that sensation of a new consciousness, a new energy
Yeah.
emerging, represents in many ways a new level of your being that you're actually allowing for yourself to channel into your reality.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Second question. I had a condition, or I still have it. I managed to some sort of heal it, like my skin condition. But in one of the message of someone, they said this condition was supposed to upgrade my immunity system. Did this happen, or I just did it?
Understand that any type of challenge your body goes through, should your body be in a state of health, that challenge will act as an upgrade because your body actually has to adapt itself to, in many ways, overcome the challenge. For if the body remains at its previous level, it will not be in resonance with the challenge. The body must meet the challenge where it is at, and then it goes higher into a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of awareness, which then translates as a new level of health, a new level of vitality. When the body is nourished, when the spirit is actively channeling through the body, flowing through the body, the idea is your body can meet any challenge where it's at and then goes higher, thus resolving the challenge, integrating the energy. So all health challenges are potentially upgrades for your body, should you be able in that sense to overcome the challenge, which many of you are able to do.
Yes, but what happened?
Yes.
Yes, but what happened is that I did the healing in a moment of I was like desperate. I said, no, I have to do it myself because I can't take it anymore. So it took me an hour, and I kind of healed this condition. But my question is that my physical body didn't go through the whole timing of this condition.
Yes, it did, because the process of that condition is something that bends and molds to how you respond to the condition itself. So understand, your intervention was part of that process. It's not separate. It's not as if you've blocked something organic from happening. Your actions were organic actions. They were of the process.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
And when you took those actions of health, those actions are taken from a particular state of being, a state of consciousness. Yes, a frequency of health and vitality, and I care about myself to some extent. Yes, these are present in the actions.
Okay, I think I see it.
Yes. So as you take those actions from that state of mind, you're also in that sense creating a frequency you consider to be a healing frequency within the tissues that you are targeting. And that healing frequency then has, you could say, a sort of effect on the tissue that is all a part of the overall healing process. It's not separate from it. It's not as if you're blocking some kind of organic thing from flowing. You are simply taking an action that is a part of the whole story, a part of the whole process, because you never take an action in a vacuum. It's always, it's always linked to a multitude of infinities.
Yeah, you're right. I see more the connection. So it was about the connection about.
Is there anything else?
No, thank you very much.
All right. And thank you for your gift and your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, Ryuk. Thank you for being here.
And thank you for your gift and your expression. How may we be of service to you?
I have a question about radionic rainbow clouds. I'm just wondering if all of them have positive intent, or if you could explain them to me. I watched one manifest above my house this morning. I asked the angels to make it transparent so that the light codes would flow in and continue to wake up humanity. But who was it, and why did it appear?
It represents a blending of extraterrestrial energies and earth energies working together, meeting at an interdimensional atmospheric gateway point. Understand, your energy field organizes these atmospheric gateway points in the sense that your auric frequency goes up into the atmosphere, the bubble around you, and it then in many ways has, you could say, effects on the realities that are a part of that space that the aura occupies. So because your aura in that way goes into the sky, your frequency, your energy has, in that sense, some sort of direct effect on the idea of the realities you perceive to be above you in the sky. Are you following us so far?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now understand, your home in many ways is similar to the idea, one moment, of a cave that a yogi is meditating in for years. Follow us so far?
Yes.
In other words, your space that you occupy represents a location where you are cultivating, where you are building energy, where your frequency, your state of being that you're in, then expands, and you could say energetically paints or colors that space that is your home. Your space in home has angles on it, yes? It has corners.
Yes.
It has a roof that has points, yes?
Yes.
So understand, your home in that sense, part of the reason it's designed that way is not just to mitigate and navigate rainfall and elemental forces, but it is also designed that way to send energies, to communicate. And understand, because your aura goes upwards into the sky and you're in the home, you're also bringing that home's energy upwards into the sky again. So what you experienced was actually your own direct manifestation. It represents your own dynamic mingling with energies that are both cosmic and earth-based in nature. This type of transformation within you is gradually increasing, and it's essentially at a boiling point. And what we mean by this is the energies have reached within you a certain threshold where they are beginning to bubble, so to say, out of the pot. And that bubbling out of the pot effect then has a physical translation that you experience to be the idea of these radionic rainbow cloud phenomenon effects. Many elemental forces are involved here. And the idea is that these phenomenons largely, not always, but largely, represent these atmospheric portals siphoning, gathering a great deal of organic earth-based elemental frequencies that you experience as the colors. And the idea is that ETs and extra dimensionals will then use those color frequencies to project more greatly into your reality. And the idea is the ones that you attract, that you open, will always be of your vibration, of your state of being, because that's, again, how you create the reality. So they can, in that sense, always be positive for you should you choose to interact with them in a positive way. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Thank you. I just have one more as well. I don't know if you can help me with this, but I had asked for a communications implant. Do you have any way of knowing if that happened?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Do you feel the buzzing in your ear?
Yes, I do. I do in my right ear. Yeah, I do.
All right. So it's working, yeah?
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
That was awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice. Okay, there's a question from, excuse me, there's a question from Sean. Go ahead, Sean. Sean Devlin.
Hi, everyone. Hey, thanks for allowing me onto the feed here. It's awesome.
Great.
Of course, of course. Thank you for your presence, dear one. How would you like to proceed?
I do a, I might be a little nervous, but I do this thing called local vision, and it's we do it at the library, and people get together and someone states their vision, and when the vision is stated, the group shares, so the person, to help the person step into their vision, and they share like expertise and resources. And I wanted, so I call it local vision, but I want to do it on a global scale where it would be happening in smaller, happening in communities, but also happening around the world. Could you just comment on that?
Yes. What you are channeling with your collectives represent the idea of new systems of organization that have a probability of becoming commonplace for how your society organizes itself and allocates its resources. Understanding that skills that people embody are just as valid of resources as the idea of other forms of resources that your earth produces. Your earth produces you, therefore your skills are also resources. They are expressive resources that are aspects of your overall tool belt. And understand that if you choose collectively, this type of dynamic being described here, of being in a position where you can express your passion, express your dream in front of individuals who can then offer you skills to assist you in stepping into that and growing it, this type of dynamic is actually available to all of you as a type of way you can experience the idea of expanding oneself. What you're describing here represents a potential new system of organization and self-growth for your planet. And we see it as something that has a great deal of positive potentiality and a great deal of interactive appeal and accessibility.
Awesome. Thank you, Riyok.
And thank you for your question.
And what ETs am I most closely associated with? I'm not entirely sure.
We are detecting two major ones. Pleiadian consciousness as well as Syrian consciousness are two of the major themes that you are currently channeling through your DNA into your physical reality. You draw upon many others, though. You also draw upon our civilization's energy as well as Yael energy. However, there are specific reasons why your light body in that sense is tuned to the idea of some of the more exotic extraterrestrials. There are, let's just say, certain activities you're involved in that are very relevant to themes you're expressing as other selves in those systems. So it's as if you're drawing upon other yous that you have been and have yet to be from these other realities as forms of amplification of your own energies in your current exploration.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
I'm all done. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to, if you'll mute yourself then, Sean, when you're done. No problem. So we just ask everyone to mute after they're finished talking. Go to the next person. Dawn is going to take some questions from the YouTube chat. Go ahead, Dawn. Then we'll pick it up after you're done with the YouTube. Pick it up with Steve.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dawn.
Okay, my first question is from Richard Burdick. His question is, are cell phones safe? I would not, no. If not, would they become safe or safer for us to in their vibration?
One moment. Can you repeat the question from the top with a little more volume, please?
Okay, I'm trying to speak it loud. are cell phones safe? That's the first question.
All right. All right. You may continue if you wish.
If not, would they become safe or safer for us in their if their vibration was in tune with the Schumann resonance?
All right. All right. Thank you for your question. We will describe our perspective. Understand that all things in the reality are fundamentally safe. Now, understand, we know that that is a bold statement because you say there's fire, there's lightning, there's tsunamis, there are poisonous insects. What do you mean everything in the reality is safe? What we mean by this is everything in the physical reality experience that you perceive is an illusion. It doesn't mean it's not real, but what it means is it's not real in the way you think it is, in that it is somehow objective and that it is somehow the end all be all for your experience. Understand the physical reality, as we have said, is a condensing, a very dense condensing of non-physical energies. You are all indestructible beings. You are all eternal, infinite, indestructible beings. Your consciousness does not end. Everything in the reality is your energy, is your consciousness, shape-shifting and molding itself to match all types of unique, infinite expressions that are somehow relevant for your physical reality life. But it's all your consciousness. It's all your energy. Therefore, everything is technically safe, even though you can create the experience using your energy of creating danger, of creating toxicity, of creating sickness. Understand all of those things, even though they contain elements of what you consider to be non-preference or your energy, have no true effect over you, but are still valid, important, and for many of you, relevant expressions of your story at different times, different phases of your story. But understand, everything in the reality is you. You're indestructible, so your reality is technically, your true reality is always safe. Safety is built in. You cannot be destroyed. You cannot be harmed. You can experience those concepts within your physical body, but understand, even the creation of that is something that requires a belief system to support it as an experience. That's why we say you can create it. Those types of things of harm, of danger, of toxicity are not intrinsic to your reality. They are versions of reality that are selected and are created based off your beliefs, based off your actions. In other words, they show up based off your state of being. Now, you can still observe them in the realities around you, which again are other separate, different realities, but they are, of course, connected to you still. But understand, you can experience those concepts of danger, of poison, of toxicity in those other realities, and you can experience them as having no effect on you in your reality. You can actually experience them as neutral and not derive a negative effect from what you're experiencing, if that's how you determine your actions, if that's how you choose to engage with that reflection. Now, with the concept of cell phones, understand, they emit a certain energy. They emit a certain level of radiation. Now, as we say radiation, many of you are going into different ideas. Radiation is something natural. The sun creates radiation. Our bodies create radiation. Others of you may be saying radiation breeds health problems. Understand, both are true. Which one is true for you determines the idea of what type of effect you'll get from a cell phone. If you believe radiation in that sense to be something that is natural, something that your body interacts with in a way that is healthy, in a way that is beneficial, the idea is those types of beliefs, even though they may not be expressed literally in your physical reality, those types of belief systems create a different effect within you when you interact with the neutral prop that is the cell phone. And as you can imagine, the types of effects you would create in yourself using those beliefs are very different than the ones you would create saying, this is bad, this is giving me some kind of problem, this is hurting me. They both create different effects. Both effects are created by you. So recognize through your belief systems, you can create all types of different effects from the neutral props that you are experiencing, cell phones being one of those props. So it's up to you. Understand that, yes, as you allow for your technologies to be created in a way that more powerfully reflects your Schumann resonance, more powerfully reflects your natural organic frequencies, the idea is your cell phones then actually become generators of health, generators, reflectors of well-being, in that they channel in those states of consciousness. And it then, in that sense, gives that frequency to your body as an option for your body consciousness to match vibrationally. So yes, the idea of creating technologies that are based off organic frequencies is very powerful. But understand, you can begin that process now through defining technology positively, defining technology as natural, defining technology as healthy. And that then sets the stage at the belief level of your being for such reality expressions such as sacred geometry technologies based off your organic frequencies to then appear in your physical reality.
Thank you.
And thank
Okay.
you.
And the next question is from Joseph Bannigan. His questions have always produced really interesting answers.
All right.
His question is, please teach me how to make high potency fungal and bacterial concoctions to give to my plants and soil.
All right. Well, understand that there are many types of foods and organic substances that can be broken down and can be, in that sense, used as nourishment for bacterial organisms, as well as the idea of fungal organisms. Generally speaking, fruit, even though it can produce a high amount of alcohol in its fermentation, can be beneficial fuel for certain fungal organisms and even certain bacterial organisms as well. So fruit and vegetable composting at a basal level is a positive starting point and an efficacious starting point. The idea is that the compost can, in that sense, be further nourished with certain minerals. And when we talk about minerals here, we are referring to them in supplemental forms. There are certain minerals that are positive for your bodies, generally speaking, that are also positive for the idea of many life forms, including that of bacterial organisms and fungal organisms. The idea is ionic trace minerals, as well as the idea of fulvic, F-U-L-V-I-C, fulvic acid, can be very beneficial for soils and can act as a sort of organic version of what you call miracle grow for the idea of the compost, for the idea of the soil. This, in many ways, will produce an environment that has sugars that can very rapidly feed the funguses. And it also, in that sense, has fibers from the fruits and the vegetables that will nourish the bacteria. And the idea is these organisms and their electrical conductivity will increase from the idea of the mineralization of such soils. And there are many ways you can experience a furthering of this process through your own creativity, through your own permission slips, through your own means of communing with that soil. However, what we have shared with you is a general building block for the idea of a very nutrient dense, high frequency soil for such organisms to thrive in.
Thank you. Okay, the next one I have is from Louise Benfield. Things we do to allow for the mind's interpretation of the symbology it uses for us to interpret our experiences during our sleep dream state.
One moment. Please repeat the question again from the top a little more slowly.
Okay. Things we can do, I guess she means what are the things we can do in the mind's interpretation of the symbology it uses for us to interpret our experiences during our dream state. in a more real experience of it?
All right, all right. Thank you for the question. Understand that when you have a dreaming experience and you're interacting with a being, or you're interacting with a location or an object, you're interacting with symbols. You're interacting with a visual symbol that is a representation for multitudes of different realities that relate both to you as an individual being, but also relate to many other beings as well. Many of your dreaming realities are also shared realities. And the symbols you experience are actually multidimensional symbols that many beings are actually interacting with in their own unique dreams. Now, when you perceive the symbol in your dreaming reality, you'll interact with that in whatever way, shape, or form is natural to you in the dream. If you're lucid, it will be whatever the action is that you choose. If it is a moment of non-lucidity, but you're simply observing and you're recording the idea of the dream experience, you'll express yourself likely based off of whatever your belief system energy pathways are relating to that dream symbol. Now, when you awaken, you can look back at the dream and say, wow, when I went lucid, I interacted with that thing in such a positive, preferential way. I loved it. You may also look at your interaction with the symbol in the dream and say, wow, what a crazy story. I can't believe that's what I chose. That was so strange. What did it mean? Understand both are communicating messages to you. Both are sharing facets of information with you. The lucid situation where you interacted very positively, very beneficially, very magically with that dream symbol represents a state of being you can exist in your physical reality life. And you can then use that state of being as a color that you then paint your reality with. You can express that energy in your reality. If that symbol you were lucidly interacting with in the dream is somehow relevant and a part of your physical reality life, you can also directly interact with that physical reality symbol in that positive lucid way like you did in the dream to further crystallize and anchor that energy in. You can also say, all right, what does this symbol I perceive represent to me? And you'll find there are going to be many themes of your life that symbol is connected to. And you can then take that positive state and you can then interact with each of those themes the symbol is pointing towards with that positive preferential lucid energy. And that's another way you can ground it. You can anchor in the dreaming reality. Now, let's say it was not quite as lucid. Maybe it was not as positive of an experience. Maybe it was very crazy or very strange. Maybe a little vague. Maybe you're uncertain of what the symbol meant. The idea is pay attention again to what the symbol represents. What in your life do you feel that symbol connects to? And begin to pay attention to those areas of your life. You may find that your relationship with those different themes that the symbol points to are vague relationships. Maybe they're ill-defined relationships. Maybe they're negatively expressed relationships. Maybe they're very limited. Maybe those relationships, maybe those connections just haven't received a lot of sunlight. Maybe you just haven't been channeling your truest self into them. And the idea is you can then, in those themes of life that symbol connects to, you can rewrite the script. You can rewrite a positive belief system. You can then choose to interact with that connected theme in a positive way, thus grounding in the dream symbol into the reality and creating more of heaven on earth in your unseen dream world and in your seen physical reality experience. And these are ways you can interact with the symbols of the dreams in a grounded physical way that is entangled with the idea of you expressing who you actually are, which again is the frequency of unconditional love, passion, joy, excitement, and bliss.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Okay, next question. This is
It's
from.
hard to hear you, Don. It's really hard
sorry.
to hear me.
Sorry. Okay, this is from Shakea. Her question is, I have a question for Ryok about debt. Is it true that the energy of money will flow better within one's reality if they pay off their debt, or is it all about how you choose to define it? Thank you.
Generally speaking, it is all about how you choose to define it. For the idea is the debt is actually a neutral prop as well. Even though it might seem like there's this built-in dynamic to the debt, understand that how you your beliefs, your stories about the debt. So if you don't define the debt as a limitation and as something that's holding you back and somehow limiting your abundance, then you actually can't create that limiting effect from the debt. And it actually then won't be a limitation at all. It'll simply be a task. It'll simply be a challenge. It won't be something holding you back. Now, for many of you, the idea is you create the experience of debts hanging over your heads, like clouds obfuscating the sun. And when that's your relationship with debt, oftentimes the path of least resistance to creating an experience of debt that does not contain limitation of you in any way is to simply pay off the debt. Because for many of you, that simply represents the path of least resistance based off of your belief systems about what is essential, what is the next step. Because many of you define debts as something you must pay off immediately. It is the most urgent, highest priority. So we tell you to honor your belief systems because your beliefs will determine the idea of how you are supporting yourself in your reality. So if you believe that paying off the debt is what supports you the most, then understand the path of least resistance will likely be paying off the debt. But understand that debt is neutral. It can be defined as anything. So what we're saying in that sense is just a generalization. You can experience the idea of debt in a multitude of ways. You can also plug in definitions to debt that say, when I pay the debt off, it represents me shifting to a high frequency version of myself that has always been based in abundance. And then as you pay off the debt, you actually pass through a self-created portal that represents greater levels of abundance for yourself. You can also create definitions, create stories about the money you manifest that's the balancing money for that debt. The money I manifest for this debt is easy. It is fun. It is effortless. It is money that I receive automatically through simply being myself. My money in that way is a side effect of who I am. And I am abundant, for I am abundance itself. Understand, these are the types of stories you can create within yourself. Now, when you begin your process of financial exploration in expanded, exciting ways, we remind you that you create the reality. The money that you experience is a side effect of what is relevant for you in the moment. So if money is not something that is very tangible for you in your external reality, it means there's another form of abundance that's actually more relevant for you in that unique moment. So begin to pay attention to the resources that you have. Begin to become grateful and appreciative of the tools that you have. Understand your relationships with others are part of your abundance. For, as we have said, other beings are symbols connected to a multitude of realities. So other beings that you're connected to are channels for abundance. You're also an infinite being. You're a channel for abundance. And when you begin to play with your money in a way that is based in the knowledge that you are your currency, you are your own wealth, you are your money, then it allows for you to understand that any external experience of wealth or finances is something that is malleable, something that is bendable, and something that can grow infinitely based off of your passion if you define that external finance as a side effect of your passion. Now, we remind you, your civilization is likely to move away from fiat currencies, as you call them. Now, we don't use that term. We simply look at them as the idea of objects or materials that are used as a symbol for exchange, for energy exchange. It's likely that that type of currency financial dollar-based forms of exchange will be phased out. But the idea is that all of that abundance that you are cultivating now, that many of you entangle with the concept of money, all of that will go into the idea of your new systems of exchange, pre-paving the idea of smoothness, ease, and abundance in those new systems. And this is just a little bit about the idea of money, the idea of how you can positively relate to money, and the idea of how money can actually be a stepping stone to the idea of completely different means of exchange for your civilization globally.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we have a question. Was that your last question, Don, or not?
Well, I had other questions, but I understand we're running out of time, so I'm going to have to go back to your questions in the queue. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
great. Thank you. Our next question is from Stephen Holmes. Let's Stephen.
Hello, Ryuk.
Hello, good day.
Good day. How are you doing?
You are perfect and ecstatic. And how are you, dear one?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so glad you're here and speaking with you and the Hucolo family. It's been a while.
All right, all right. Well, we are happy to have the family reunion in more ways than one.
Yes, definitely. And that's actually my first question I know a little bit about my Sassani Shikani connections, and I would love if you can tap into my energies, and I would love to find out more about my connections and energies.
All right, all right. We are detecting you have a prominent future lifetime that is very much involved in the hybridization program. In that sense, you assist beings in the idea of reading coded information that's stored within genetics. So understand there are many ways of analyzing information. You have technologies on your earth that can scan and access and measure information in certain ways. Understand that that external technology is a reflection of an internal technology that you all are and you all possess. And that represents your ability to read and scan and decipher energies through your filters, depending on which level of filtering you wish to use for the reading and decoding of that energy. With us so far?
Yes.
All right. Now understand this version of yourself that is a part of our civilization in that way reads and scans the idea of DNA from extracted genetics from different species, but also reads the DNA ahead of time of the idea of the beings whom will have their DNA extracted from them. So in many ways, you read genetic stories as this future self that allows for you to understand more of the energies of the beings to whom that DNA is connected. So that way, when you are working with the other members of the hybridization program, you can bring all of these unique different genetic ingredients to the table to, in that sense, custom build body types that are able to express and channel different forms of spirit, different forms of consciousness that are very specifically aligned to the DNA of that custom body. So you, in that sense, are a reader in a future lifetime of genetic material. But that's not the only thing you read. You are also able to read the idea of genetics from a variety of different organisms, and you have in that way studied the genomes of beings from all types of worlds, understanding their DNA songs. This self also, in many ways, creates artwork that is based in expressing the genetic songs that he reads and perceives. And there are many ways that he expresses this. Oftentimes it is visual art. At times it has musical components. And this is just part of this being's passion. Understanding this being is part of a larger family unit and has, in that sense, family members directly connected to him, just as you do on Earth. This being is aware of you and has read your DNA and has listened to your DNA songs, knows your DNA songs very well, and is an active guide for you currently, amongst a few others from our civilization that are more specifically relevant for you now, in this perspective, than maybe younger yous.
Sweet, sweet. Just really quick, I know it's a Shikani. Last time he wouldn't give his name. Will he give his name now?
Understand, we don't have names. We don't truly have names. If you wish, you can create a name for him, and that can act as a bridge. We understand that when we give you a name, it appears to come from another source outside of yourself, so it has another level of significance to it. But understand, any name we give you is just as powerful. It's just as valid as any name you produce within your own imagination as a permission slip to connect to that being. Make sense to you?
Yes, yes, definitely.
All right.
And real quick, I know you're running out of time. Just a general message, anything from my dreams I've been having, my parallel Palladian and all the different earths I'm connected to, and skin of my body, any tailbone issue, just anything in general. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, all right, all right. Well, there are many things you have expressed in that request. However, we will explore it with you as directly as we are able to. As we are looking into your body, we are detecting in that sense that your genetics related to your physical heart and your thymus, the genetics here are allowing in higher frequency versions of light, specifically from Sirius, as well from the Pleiades. Understand that as you stimulate these areas more, as you massage these areas more, as you breathe into these areas more, and as you imagine you're breathing in light to these areas, you will assist that process for yourself. Understand that one of the ways you can more directly assist the process in a more obvious way is through acting that love energy that you're allowing in out, acting that love energy out in your life. Understand right now the heart center for you is very active, and we are detecting the idea of a new level of consciousness within yourself that we would call flower consciousness, in the sense that the geometry of the heart, in terms of its energetic field, is rearranging itself based off all of the stimuli it's receiving. It's rearranging itself to geometrically resemble the idea of a flower that is a blend of what you call the flower of life and the idea of Fibonacci patterns. Understand, your heart electrical and psychic geometry is beginning to match that of flower consciousness. So we would encourage you during this time to engage lovingly with those around you, acting as if you are in that way a flower of life, treating yourself as if you are a flower of life. And if it is in resonance with your excitement, smelling and directly interacting with flowers in your physical reality, and even placing them on the heart, resting them on the heart, breathing them into the heart, will also help you to go deeper in this direction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so beautiful. Thank you for your time. Much love to y'all.
And much love to you as well. Unconditionally, our friend.
Thank you very much. There is a question. I'm just going to take people that haven't taken a question already. There's a question from Kim. Go ahead, Kim. Kim Trine.
Hi, can you hear me?
There you go. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Phil. Nice to see you.
You're the last question, Kim, by the way.
Okay. Oh, so happy to speak with you.
How fun. How are you?
I'm great. I just want to know if you can scan, like, what is my normal frequency compared to when I'm in a plant ceremony, like with mycelium or with ayahuasca? What's the difference?
When you are in the states of mind you consider to be the ayahuasca states of mind, understand that the frequency of your spirit is what accelerates, is what rises. Understand the frequency of your body remains in a very grounded, earthy state. And this is done so that way your consciousness can then experience the higher frequencies. Understand, your true vibration in that sense is the vibration of infinity. Your true vibration. Now, as you in that sense crystallize yourself and fractal yourself from source to an oversoul, to a spirit, to a soul, to the idea of an incarnation. This tunnel, so to say, each level of the tunnel will have its own unique signature frequency. Follow us so far?
Okay.
The incarnational self will have a frequency, generally speaking, that's much lower than the aspects of itself you consider to be the soul or the oversoul, which are naturally higher. Follow us so far?
Okay.
When you take the ayahuasca, you are raising your frequency of your incarnational self to go to the level of the soul. So it's as if you're actually taking a rocket ship within to the higher dimensions of yourself that you consider to be soul consciousness. You can also take that higher and go to oversoul consciousness, and even higher to source consciousness. It's as if the ayahuasca allows for you to play with your incarnational self's frequency in a way where it's similar to a spaceship, but an internal spaceship where you're going within the infinity of your own being. Make sense so far?
Yes.
So when you're in the ayahuasca states, your vibration can actually exceed the idea of 300,000 cycles per second, in that you can transcend the idea of the physical limitations within yourself, and you can experience that of your soul. You're raising your frequency to be that of non-physical in some of these states. So in those plant ceremonies, you can go incredibly high. When you are not in the plant ceremonies, but you are just going throughout your life, understand you're still in many ways operating on those higher levels. Because when you launch your consciousness into those different zones, it's as if you are planting seeds of yourself there. So when you go back, so to say, to your physical life, you're still in that sense connected to those higher levels. So your overall baseline frequency of your incarnational self is higher, generally speaking, with each of the ceremonies, because you plant more seeds there. Remember, the ceremonies are not always required. At a certain point, you'll be able to know that those realms are always accessible within you, and you can access them whenever you choose. But understand that when you engage in the ceremonies, you are, when you return to your more homeostatic physical reality self, the idea is the vibration, the frequency of that self will always be a little bit higher. Your vibration currently, as we read it, is approximately 87,000 cycles per second. And it goes higher than this, and it goes lower than this, depending on your process, because your vibration changes as you change, which again is constant, because you change from 1 second to the next billions of times, all while remaining the unchanging, eternal consciousness that you are, thus being a paradox, thus being the infinite.
Is there a difference between the mushroom consciousness and the ayahuasca, between the information you're getting, and does one take your vibration higher than the other?
They can take you to similar places, so to say, and they interact with a great deal of similar teachers. The idea is that the mushroom consciousness, generally speaking, will take you very deep into the naturalistic energies of your earth and the high frequency dimensional overlays of your earth. So in other words, they take you to the level of spirit, non-physical reality, that's very relevant to your earth, very relevant to your animal consciousness, your body consciousness, your plant consciousness, your crystal consciousness, and so on and so forth. Understand that the ayahuasca, in many ways, is more like the idea of a vine that spirals up an infinite tree of life that allows for you to experience both the earthly realms very well, very easily, but also allows for you to wrap around the tree of life, the tree of your perception, in 360 degrees, wrapping around the entire tree, observing each level of reality, observing each dimension you visit from that spiraling upward perspective. So it can take you very high. in a way that seems like a journey, in a way that seems very seamless and very magical, very mystical. Understand both are powerful teachers and both are designed to work with you in different ways. The ayahuasca, many of you would say, is very out of this world, where many of you would classify the mushrooms as being more earthy. And there's reasons why you understand both of them to be of these natures. It represents some of the themes they explore with you as teachers.
Just one lot. Any tips to how to maintain that level when I'm not on it?
By recognizing you're still on that level without having to actually consume the substance. As we have said, when you travel to these locations, you plant a seed in those higher dimensions. When you travel with the plant teacher to another dimension, you're planting a seed of consciousness in that dimension. It's still linked to you. You're still there. The idea is to recognize you're still in that state of being, even though it feels different, even though it looks different, you're still in the state of being, number one. If you recognize it, if you remember it, if you feel it to any level, then you are in it. The idea also then is to choose actions daily that represent you somehow expressing that energy. Maybe that's treating someone in your reality that you care about with a lot of love. Maybe it's treating yourself with a lot of love. Maybe it is expressing yourself through music. Maybe it is expressing yourself through art. Maybe it is poetry. Maybe it is hiking. Maybe it is receiving some kind of special training. But the idea is pick actions that represent that energy in motion, so that energy then has life through you. It expresses itself through you into your reality. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And you are so welcome.
Thank you so much.
To you always.
Thank you. We are out of time, and so we would like to thank you again for being here and sharing your incredible wisdom and insight with everyone and your perspective. So thank you so very much for that. And,
yes. We thank you all for the opportunity. As always, it is our civilization's highest joy, highest passion to be able to have these co-creative interactions with each of you. Our unconditional love to you always, and to all whom you encounter in your sacred dream of physical reality experience. Oh man!
wow, that went fast, and we really have like 20,000 more questions, so we could have gone for another 3 hours. But
Wow, yeah, that was great. Oh my God, I had so much fun.
thank you so much. So we will see you next month.
Excellent.
4 weeks from this week.
Oh my God, I am so excited. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you want if you want to get some sessions with me, if you feel it's exciting, you can go to nourishyoursoul.tv, where I am available for private one-on-one Ryoke sessions. We're also, starting May 1st, we are launching a 4-week channeling. Oh, well, I don't want to call it a channeling class. We're launching a 4-week class where I will be channeling Ryoke as the teacher for the class, and he's going to be guiding us through meditations and exercises that are all based around connecting to hybrid children, connecting to the child within you, and living that life that represents the fullest expression of the refined inner child, which will be a vibrational match for hybrid children, thus increasing the contact in that area. So I'm very excited for that class. You can also purchase tickets for that 4-week class through nourishyoursoul.tv, and it meets every Friday for the month of May. So looking forward to that. We have more transmissions coming up. Visit the website I mentioned, Nourish Your Soul TV, for more. You can follow me on YouTube, Health Thyself, where I upload channeling videos pretty much weekly, or at least once every 2 weeks. I upload at least one channeling video from Ryoke or from another consciousness I'm excited to work with. So check out Health Thyself at YouTube.
Perfect. And all of Tyler's information is in the description of this YouTube video, and so you can find that. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe to Human Colony, and every time we go live, you'll get a little pop-up telling you tune in. So we will see you very soon. We'll see you just in a couple weeks. And next week we'll have Jim Charles. And I just want to send everyone much love from India, much love wherever you are. Stay safe, stay healthy. Just share everything you can with everyone. So much love to you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.